Kira, have you heard John isn't coming back and they might even fire him?
No. I knew he was away, but I thought it was for personal reasons.
I'm pretty sure that's not the full story. Have you ever worked with him?
A long time ago, but, well, I've heard stories about him for years.
I've never worked with him directly, but I know people that have. And they say he was always shouting and screaming, threatening to fire people. And Suzanne told me he took credit for one of her ideas. She had this idea for a project and she brought it up at the monthly creative workshop and he liked it, everybody did. But she saw the notes from the meeting and there was no mention of her name anywhere. John had agreed with her and repeated some of the things she said, and the notes made it look like they were his ideas in the first place. He made her do all the work planning it. Then when the project actually got started, it was that Cars one. Suzanne was moved to something else.
It won an award, didn't it?
Yeah, but Suzanne didn't get to share it. There was zero recognition of her contribution. She was furious, but she couldn't do anything about it. Not if she wanted to keep her job.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to report people who are as high up as John is. Or was.
How did you find working with him then?
Well, you know what you said about him shouting at people? I've been in meetings with him and we all learned to keep our mouths shut. It was horrible. People were genuinely afraid of him.
Did you ever see him stealing people's ideas?
It was never that obvious. He was a genius. He had incredible vision, but, you know, there was a whole team of people working with him. Not every single idea came from him, and after a while, it's not easy to say, oh, this idea was mine and this idea was yours. For me, the bigger problem was that you could be in his good books, and then suddenly, with no explanation, you were out. And if you were out, life got very difficult.
I heard women in particular had a hard time working with him.
Yeah, well, like I said, you had to stay in his good books. So if there was a comment that made you feel uncomfortable, you didn't say anything.
Did that happen to you?
Not to me, no, but we all knew, and no one said anything. And I was lucky I didn't have that much contact with him myself.
They're doing a full investigation, so I suppose a lot of these stories are going to come to light.
I hope so. I really hope he's not coming back.
Hello, Maria. Thanks for coming in for the interview.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, as you know, the company has been expanding and we have an opening in our HR department. We're creating a new role for someone to lead our training and development within the company.
Yes, I very much think that my skills and experience are a good fit for what you're looking for.
That sounds great. So, your CV looks strong, though it would be good if you could give us an overview, in your own words, of what you've been doing over the past 4 years or so.
Well, in my first job 4 years ago, I was working for a small HR services provider which offered HR services including L&D to corporate clients.
Okay, so it was only B2B?
Yes, we only offered services to other companies, not B2C.
Right. And it says here you then left that company about 3 years ago.
Yes, that's right. I was looking for a little more stability and also to be part of a larger organization. So I joined a company with around 100 staff and a small HR team. As there are only a few of us, we each deal with a range of HR topics. In addition to payroll, one of the areas I was responsible for was learning and development.
I see. And so why do you want to change jobs now?
Well, I very much like the L&D side of my role, and I've always had particularly good feedback for my work in this area. I believe I excel in that field. So I'm looking to specialize, and as your company has around 2,000 people, right?
Yes, that's right.
Well, an organization of this size would give me the scope to specialize in L&D. I'm also a big follower of your brand and feel fully aligned with your image and values.
Well, that all sounds good. And I can see you have an L&D qualification.
Yes, I got a diploma 2 years ago. I am also currently working on a further diploma in psychology with a specific focus on learning and performance management.
Very good. Well, it looks like you have the qualifications and experience we're looking for. What do you think will be the main challenges of coming to a much larger company?
I can see that it might be perceived as a weakness to not have experience in an organization of this size. Though I see that it could also be a benefit. I won't be bringing too many preconceived and possibly inflexible ideas with me to the role.
Yes, that would be a good thing.
Also, I'm used to taking a very personal approach to employee development. I realize that such an approach with 2,000 staff members will have to happen in a different way, but I bring many ideas with me that can be replicated on a larger scale.
I see what you mean. Right, so, do you have any questions for me?
I think we've covered many of the areas I had wanted to address. I have 2 quick questions though.
Go on.
Who would I mostly work with on a daily basis?
Well, there's the HR manager, who you would report to, and then the HR team, which currently has 6 people in it. There's usually an intern or 2 who you can get some support from also.
Okay, thanks. That's all really clear. And my other question is, how performance in this role will be measured? What does success look like?
That's a good question. As you know, we have a performance management system in place, and from that, we have identified some learning and development needs within the organization. But we haven't devised a strategy. Your role would be to devise and then successfully implement this strategy.
Thank you. That sounds interesting.
Great. So, thanks again for coming in today. We'll be discussing all candidates next week, and then I'll get back to you by the end of next week to let you know the outcome.
Thank you for your time. I'd welcome the opportunity to continue discussing this role with you.
Thanks everyone for coming to this project meeting. I know we're all working cross-functionally on this project, but so far the key stakeholders are really pleased with how it's going. This project will really benefit our overall value proposition and the company as a whole.
Thanks, John. It's an important project. It's good to be collaborating on this together.
Yes, it's important, but we're also busy with our regular jobs. It'll be difficult to fit things in.
It's okay, Matteo, we'll work it out. I know that you all have a lot on at the moment, combining this project with your regular jobs.
So, what do we need to do and by when?
Good questions, Barbara. We have a number of key deliverables to discuss, so it's essential we're all in agreement about roles and responsibilities and also the timelines we're working to.
Great.
Yes, it's good to get this clear.
So, the first thing we need to do is design the customer survey questionnaire. In my experience, this is best done through an online survey tool.
That sounds like a great idea. I'm glad you have experience with this.
Yeah, we've done something similar on previous projects.
So, will you do that, John?
I'd love to, but I'm already tied up managing this project, and my line manager Kate has agreed that I should focus on the timelines, reporting and financial management. I'd like Akiko to lead on the questionnaire. You learned about this on your marketing and PR course, didn't you?
Yeah, happy to take it on.
Thanks, Akiko. Next thing is we need the new designs finalised. Matteo, you said you could do this in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, I know, but that was last month, and then nothing happened. I'm overloaded at the moment, and my line manager won't be happy if I don't hit my targets. Sorry, but this project has to take lower priority.
I see. I can understand the challenge you're facing. I've been in that situation before. So, what can we do to help you hit those targets and free up some time?
That's a good question. If I could get a slight reduction in my targets, I could use the extra time that would create to finish the designs for this project.
Okay. We might not be able to get your targets reduced, but I'll see what we can do.
How about if I support Matteo there? I know his job well, and I have some capacity at the moment. I can help him meet his targets so he can free up some time to finish the designs for this project.
Could you, Barbara?
I'm not sure if it's fair to ask Barbara to be supporting Matteo in his regular job so he can work on this project.
It's up to you, but I'm happy to support Matteo with his regular work, just for a couple of weeks so he can create the designs. He's the only one with the expertise.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Thanks a lot, Barbara. I appreciate it. Matteo, would that work for you?
Yes, that would work. Thanks. Okay, you've made it easy for me to say yes.
Okay, then that's settled. Thanks both. I really appreciate your help in this. So, can you get them done by the end of the month?
Yes, that should be no problem.
Today, we're looking at the darker side of literature, with 2 books about not-so-happy families. And we've got writer Helen Slade and book critic Anna Kimura to talk us through them. First up, we're looking at Her Mother's Daughter by Alice Fitzgerald, a novel written from 2 points of view, one of a child and the other of her very troubled mother. Helen, I have to be honest, I found this one hard to read. It's very well written, but, well, how did you find it?
I know what you mean, but I literally couldn't put it down and stayed up till 3 in the morning to finish it. There's something about immersing yourself in a family this flawed, this damaged, that's compelling. You'd never want to be in that family yourself, but that's what reading is about, isn't it? Wearing someone else's shoes for a while without ever having to live their reality.
You surprise me. The families in your own books are a million miles away from this one.
Yeah, my readers can always be sure they're going to get a happy ending, which you definitely, I don't want to give too much away here, but you definitely don't feel like a happy ending is coming for these characters.
Okay, so don't mention the ending, but can you just describe for listeners what the book is about?
So, it's about a family with secrets. The mother has hidden her troubled childhood from her husband and her 2 children, but, of course, it's shaped her entire personality and how she behaves as a mother and as a wife, which is especially obvious when we're reading the sections told in the child's voice, even though the little girl herself doesn't understand the meaning of everything she's seeing.
For me, what was really so shocking was less what happened to the mother when she was a child, but how the mother treated her own children. Why is that, do you think?
I think we're all programmed to see mothers as something sacred and pure. As a child, she was mistreated by her father, and in some ways, we're not that shocked by that, which is a sad thing in itself. And her own mother didn't help her. As a reader, we're less affected by that, I think, because that part of the story is revealed to us in the mother's voice, the adult voice. But the reason the way she treats her own child is so much more shocking is that the child is telling us about it, and we sympathise with her. It's very clever how the author plays on our natural instincts to protect a child.
Though we do feel sorry for the mother too. Or at least I did.
It's hard not to. She's trapped in her own unhappiness.
And we're trapped right there with her as the reader. It made me wonder, Anna, why is it that miserable books like this one sell so well?
Because all of us have families. I suppose the books play out things we all see in much smaller ways in our own family lives.
The other hard-hitting book this week is We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. Now, there's a family who have a problem.
They definitely do. Very few people will ever have a killer as a teenage son like the narrator in the book, but we can all identify with the challenges and often terrifying reality of raising teenagers.
So, can you give us the lowdown on Kevin then, Anna?
This book is written from the point of view of the mother. In letters she's writing to her husband, Kevin's father. Again, we shouldn't say too much about the ending, but the way the author uses the letters is very clever.
I have to admit, I really enjoyed this book. It's a difficult topic, but it was much easier to read than Her Mother's Daughter.
As Helen said before, it's about the voice of the narrator. There's no child's voice, and in this story, the victims in many ways are the adults. Though, of course, Kevin's sister is a victim of her brother's evil.
Yes, and the idea of where evil comes from is a theme that comes out in both books. If you choose to call it evil, that is, I prefer to describe it as a complete lack of empathy. The mother in Her Mother's Daughter had a terrible childhood, but Kevin's from a happy home and good parents.
Is he, though? The mother often admits she found motherhood hard. Aren't we supposed to think she might have caused Kevin to turn out the way he does, just like in Her Mother's Daughter?
Both books certainly look at how the mistakes of the parents affect children, and this is another reason we relate to these books. Parents are always worrying if they're doing a good job.
The big 4-0, Charles.
Oh, it's your 40th!
Are you planning a party?
Nah, I never celebrate birthdays. I don't see why this one should be any different.
Why not?
Well, first, you know me, I can't be bothered with the hassle. It's my birthday, but I'm supposed to do all the hard work. Contacting people, finding a venue, organising food, worrying who will show up. No thanks.
Ah, someone's angling for a surprise party, eh, Dora?
Marco, stop. Even worse, having to pretend to be delighted 50 people just sprang up in your living room when you thought you were coming home to put your feet up. Probably having a heart attack at the shock.
Note to self, never to organise you a surprise party. Okay then.
You've got to do something, though, Charles. It's your 40th.
Why? What's so great about getting old?
Still being here to have your birthday?
Yeah, aging is better than the alternative, as they say.
Yeah, and it's true. So why not celebrate?
You guys can have parties for your 40ths if you like. I just don't go in for that kind of self-indulgent attention-seeking.
Wow, that's a bit harsh. I had a huge bash for my 30th, and you came and enjoyed yourself, if I recall. Are you trying to say I was just doing it for attention?
Not exactly, but, well, at least a small part of you must have been.
Remind me not to invite you to my 40th then, so you won't have to put up with my huge ego while I feed you and provide free drinks all night, because I thought we were friends.
I mean, not all attention-seeking is bad. It's just not my style is all.
Whereas it is mine?
Anyway...
I didn't say that.
Yes you did. You said celebrating birthdays is self-indulgent and...
Guys, who knew birthdays was such a touchy subject? Speaking of which, I have to sort out my 9-year-old's party the weekend after next.
Now, that's a party I'd love to organise.
Really? It's a nightmare. It's not like when we were kids. Now you have to take them all rock climbing or hire a makeup artist to come and teach them how to look like a zombie or a film star. And there'd be trouble if someone else in school had the same kind of party and your kid gets accused of copying. That fear you said about no one turning up, it's a million times worse when you're scared your kid is going to have no one turn up.
Is there that much pressure?
Yeah, it's crazy. Last year, I got it right with the cinema trip. Simple, but always a winner. But we can't do the same thing again, apparently. It says it in my official laws for 9-year-olds book.
I've got so many fond memories of birthday parties as a kid. Party food and games and watching cartoons until your parents arrived.
Trust me, your parents were stressing out.
At the risk of restarting the argument, when do you think you stopped enjoying birthdays then?
I don't know, really. Somewhere around moving away from home and getting a job and being a grown-up. I don't mean birthdays are immature. I mean it takes a while to make new friends, and so birthdays just become more low-key, and it's drinks with a couple of friends or dinner or something. And I just got out of the habit, I guess. Maybe I just need to have a kid-style party like we used to have. Play musical chairs and eat pineapple and cheese on sticks and all that.
Very retro. I bet people would love that.
Yeah, they would. Well, I would anyway. And maybe it'll catch on with my kids and it'll start a new party trend.
You've got me thinking. It's not a terrible idea. Maybe I will have a party this year.